Guardian, we've picked up a high-gain transmission. Origin point is somewhere along the coast, near the Cosmodrome.
All right, folks, welcome to Cosmodrome Radio, episode 62. We are back at it like a crack at it, putting in work for the good people of this here universe that we love. We love talking about Destiny 2 and all the great things about it. This week, Bungie kept it spicy like Cajun in his mug, because they were like, hey, you know, I know y'all thought y'all were gonna have all those cool combinations for your class items, but you're not. And I was like, look who was right. Because I remember when you and I reacted to the whole show occasion, I told everybody there wasn't gonna be that many combinations. But we'll dig into that in a minute. My name is Jay Paracalls. We are watching this on my Twitch channel here and on my TikTok channel. But we always have this show live for you every week, every Saturday for you. And you can always catch this show on Monday with the edited version with the nice theme song for everybody. Make sure you check it out there. Spotify people, you are still winning. Apple Podcast doesn't want the smoke. You're still winning. I love it. I love seeing the numbers. I appreciate people reviewing us on Spotify. We've gone up in reviews. So please make sure that you review us on Spotify. Make sure you listen to an episode and then review us, because the more reviews we have, the more we are available for people to find as the premier Destiny podcast. So make sure that you check us out and review us. Don't forget that you can follow us on Twitter and Twitter, X, whatever you want to. If you want to indulge Elon, by all means. I don't want to do it, but it's fine. To my right, we have the man, the myth, the spicy legend, Cajun. How you doing, bud?
I wish I could say I was doing better. So just kind of like to give everybody a understanding. This week, for those in my community, for those in my stream, my oldest cat, Morden, passed away. He passed away Friday. He was having some health issues, and but eventually, no matter what we were trying, nothing was helping. So we let him go peacefully. It's been hard for me, my girlfriend. And then on top of all of that, a bit of brightness came into the day. If you were on Twitter on Thursday and you saw a bunch of content creators saying, "Hey, thank you, Bungie, thank you, GameSite, for this code," I was amongst them. And it was a complete out of left field, was not expecting it. So once again, thank you to Bungie, thank you to GameSite for that code. Um, but outside of that, I wish I could say the week was better.
Most
But
definitely.
the TWID definitely has a lot for us to go over and a lot for us to cover. There is just so much.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to talk about too. And especially if you weren't around Friday for the last minute Bungie tweet about bounties. No, bounty prep is not destroyed, but
It's not,
some of the
but
sources have been removed, and we'll talk about that later. But let's first dive into the twit.
yes, because
So
for those who didn't see the playtest videos, Bungie dropped a couple playtest videos right before the twit came out, where they showed how Prismatic is sort of going to work on each class, which I thought that was kind of cool. I am really hyped for one specific thing, which is they showed that even if you have the Berserker Blade strand melee for Titan, where it gives you 3 melees, you can still have consecration, which means you can straight up just have 3 consecrations back to back to back. And that looked insane. I was like, yo.
that looked absolutely freaking nuts from a freaking from as someone who plays Titan very casually, because I'm like I said, I'm more of a hunter main, but I play all 3 classes. That was just nuts because it threw me off guard. I was like, wait a second. He just used Consecration a second ago, and now he's using Berserker. I was like, that combination right there. So freaking cool. And I won't lie, it got me really once the TWID came out, going through it and looking at all the different combinations. So yeah, JP was right. We got limited on it. And to be honest, I wasn't going to argue that one.
I tried to tell people too, because all these people were about like all the content creators, all these people, they were like, think of the crazy combinations that we'll be able to do with class items. And I'm like, y'all know that's not gonna happen, right?
That's also YouTube clickbait though.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, if you've been around YouTube, you know YouTube clickbait. But let's dive in. I love it first. I love it first. Thank you, Bungie, by the way. You put the hunter list first. So we're gonna dive into that one. Okay.
I will say, I think my favorite combination out of all of this, hands down, first of all, I enjoy that like Spirit of Assassin, Spirit of Star Eater, Synthoceps, Verity's Brow, Ophidian Aspect, and Inmost Light are going to be accessible to all 3 classes.
Yeah.
Sort of like a baseline of, hey, you can buff your supers, hey, you can increase your melee damage, you can do this and that, like you can do some pretty cool stuff for base level, and then the rest is sort of a mix of like more stuff for each of the individual classes.
So, and I put out a tweet, I quote tweeted, and there was a couple of combos that honestly I was freaking stoked for. And now after someone pointed something out, even after reviewing it, I'm still freaking excited. So let's dive into it. So first and foremost, I think for Hunter as well as Titan, this is going to be a God-given. Spirit of Assassin and Spirit of Synthoceps. That is going to be some busted shit, and I'm down for that.
Just constant invis and increased damage, brother. Oh my god.
So this next one, Spirit of Verity and Spirit of Foe Tracer. So let's look into that one real quick. So Spirit of Foe Tracer, damaging an opponent or guardian with an ability grants you a temporary damage boost, which on Foe Tracer is 4 times surge. So that is 27% damage increase. You get it for 10 seconds. That's not bad for weapons matching that ability's element. So you pop a melee, you pop a grenade, and you're going to now have 27% damage increase. Now, surges won't stack. So that is the one thing you have to understand about this. So that frees up slots in your freaking boots.
Mm-hmm.
But 27%. So let's say you're running something like Void, right? You're going to be able to bust out an Edge Transit, bait and switch with 27% damage on top of bait and switch. Okay, that's busted. But then let's look into Verity's Brow. Weapon Final Blows with a damage type matching your grenade grant a stacking grenade damage bonus.
Imagine the pain Atheon is gonna feel when you're just constantly getting your grenade and like recharged off of Atheon times
and
vengeance.
being able to keep that freaking bonus rolling.
That's gonna be like insane.
All right,
like
so
that alone it explains why Bungie was like, hey guys, so like don't worry about trying to grind an exotic class item within the first like 3 days, because we're not giving that shit to you to the second week. Like the minute I heard that, I started busting up laughing, because that just means they said, A, we don't trust none of y'all because y'all will not have any sleep. You will sit there for like ever trying to grind that shit. But also they straight up just went, you know what? We don't want one random person getting a busted combination like right before the day 1 raid. Dang, you move faster than me on that. I had a spam bot come in the chat. But
sorry, I'm forever ready to freaking smack a bitch.
Hey, that was just funny. But yeah, no, so I commend Bungie for being like, you know what, maybe we'll let you have this new toy after the day 1 raid. And I'm like, I wish they said like after day 1 raid and not just Tuesday. I feel like it should just be after day 1 raid. But like, I'm okay with Tuesday. I'm okay with Tuesday.
So the next combo for me was Spirit of Galanor and Spirit of Star Eaters. Now, originally my understanding, I thought that we were going to get Blade Barrage for the Solar Super. No, it's Marksman. its marksman,
I have to go back. I have to
the
pull that
marksman
up.
super. So then I was like, wait a second, how does Shards of Galanor gonna work with that? They changed the wording, and this is something for all players. Go
Mhm,
back and look how they reworded some of these because they're not going to be identical to what the actual exotic is. In this case,
mhm.
Spirit of Galanor hits and final blows with your super will return super energy after it ends.
But see, here's the thing about it
After
though.
it ends.
If you look at
So
the Titan one though, Spirit of the Bear, it says move faster while guarding with unbreakable shield. So I don't is the unbreakable shield the super or is it the new aspect?
I think that's a aspect.
Because isn't that the aspect that they showed in the in the trailer where like you hold back and then like you release the energy?
I think that was.
Hold on, let me Google like because like I hope not because I had the same like thought as you because if you look at the original chart, I'm trying to find it, but like if you look at the original chart, it specifically says that you like for Titan at least, you're only going to get excuse me, Twilight Arsenal as the Void super ad like with that. So that wouldn't make any yeah, it says Unbreakable as the aspect. So I'm wondering if Unbreakable Shield is yeah, I think it is. Because with Unbreakable is converted into super energy. So basically that's just saying, hey, instead of being like Ursa Furiosa, that shield is going the more damage you block with that aspect, it's just gonna turn into super energy for you. That's interesting.
Yeah. So then you've got Spirit of Star Eaters. While your super energy is full, picking up an orb of power overcharges your super, granting it bonus damage. So you're gonna have the ability to get super energy back. And then by getting additional orbs after you get your supercharge, you're gonna be able to churn out some high powered DPS supers non-stop.
Mhm.
That's gonna be busted and fun as fuck.
Mhm.
So for
I'm a little worried about how busted Hunt is about to be. I'm gonna keep it a buck 50 because like the idea that you can do big damage and also get returned to your super sounds scary. Now, granted, I'm a little sad with the Titan specifically with Spirit of the Star Eater. I'm a little sad there's no combination of Curious of the Falling Star because could you imagine Curious mixed with Star Eater scales?
oh
I would have
god,
been
that would have
tripping.
been that would have been holy
I would have
shit.
been tripping. Like,
Dude,
oh,
y'all, yeah, that would have been y'all's freaking Celestial Nighthawk at that point.
I
That would
will
have been y'all.
say,
That would have been y'all Celestial Nighthawk.
oh, most definitely. I will say one combination that I am kind of one thing that I'm a little worried about for PvP is the fact that basically no matter what a lot of hunters are going to be able to do, they're going to have built-in worm husk on top of a bunch of other things. So this might incentivize a lot of different hunter PvP players to finally drop the stoppies and start experimenting because not only do you get the small health and shield bump, you have the ability to experiment with like worm husk and six coyote together, or you could have worm husk and renewal grass together, etc. Like you have the ability to combine this, or like even Gerfalcon. You could have Wormhusk and Gerfalcon together. Like there's a lot of variety here and have a lot of combinations with this. So I think, or even like you could have Spear of the Dragon and have Dragon Shadow mixed with Wormhusk. Like you have a lot of opportunities here to finally put down the Stompies and actually do something with yourselves. Like put them down. Like this is Bungie telling you can put them down, guys. Like it's okay. You can put them down. Like that's all I'm saying.
I just I just saw a combination for freaking Hunt or for Titan, and I want to pass this by you. Tell me what you think.
All right.
Spirit of the Assassin, finishers of powered melee, final blows grant invisibility.
Right.
Then pair it with Spirit of Contact.
No! No!
and then set it up with the freaking Berserker Blade and the freaking Consecration.
I will say one combination that I'm really excited for, especially because I'm glad they included this. Let's go over some Titan shit because I really appreciate that. That's gonna be busted as shit. I hope with this though we buff point contact cannon brace a little bit, or at least buff the thunderclap the way it's worth using. But like I one combination, or just in general, the base combo that I'm really excited about is Spirit of Scars, because this allows a lot of opportunity to have the benefits that's Scars is already giving a lot of players. Because I've been a big proponent of Scars since it came out in Beyond Light. I kept telling everyone that like once Bungie gives this a little bit more juice, it's gonna be the most busted thing in existence. And finally they did that recently. And I was like, I finally have vindication, because now we can start doing some cool shit. But imagine cool things you could do, like Scars and Point Contact. You could do Scars and Star Eater. You could do Scars in Eternal Warrior and just have a busted combo right there. But what I find really interesting about Eternal Warrior here, it says matching your super's element when your super ends. It doesn't say arc, it says your super. Gain damage bonus for weapons matching your super's element when your super ends. So you have the capability to literally just have the ultimate utility character right there. Like, even if you're like a bubble titan, you could throw down a bubble for your team and then just have ultimate void damage and void healing and overshield at all times. Or even with solar, you would have solar damage increase with that. That's gonna be like one of my favorite staple combinations, where I'm just able to put out big damage and heal myself over time. That's gonna be so cool. And what I really love about, I don't know, I gotta look at this, because it specifically says a burst of healing around you and grants allies restoration. I think I gotta look at Precious Scars, because last time I checked, it doesn't give your teammates restoration, it only gives you restoration. Hold on a second. Kills with a weapon matching your subclass grants restoration ×1 to you and ally. Okay, so it does give it to allies. That's been there. I thought it was only to you, but the fact that you can give it to allies too and have different combinations, because the idea, but also one thing that I'm gonna see, and I think you and I have a lot of vindication, because you and I have argued about the comp, like which one is better, Heart of Most Light or Armamentarium for different builds. Bungie's just like, why not both? Like the little girl in the taco commercial. They're just like, why not both? It's just like,
I wasn't gonna bring that up because out of respect, because I dog you as it is about Armamentarium with Arc, but dude, I'm sorry, freaking Innermost Light, Armamentarium, and I'm gonna be running around with that freaking new forbearance. Oh my god!
Like, that's just gonna be funny as hell. The idea that literally you just have the ability to have constant ability uptime and 2 grenades. That's gonna be excessive. Like, I enjoy that so much. They straight up said, "Hey, we're gonna set up these 2 guys' argument right now and just put both of them together." Now, here's what. Like, here's
I just thought of something, and as much as I love Arc. Hear me out.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
That's gonna be the equivalent of freaking sun bracers for fucking Titans.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah. Now, I will say this one combination that I'm really excited for, or like, matter of fact, it's kind of like 2-in-1, but it features one specifically. Okay. I want to see if, since you can combine Kepri's Horn and Ambient Leap together, I'm really interested to see if you get 3 solar energy waves, or if you only get 1. Either way, I liked already the ability to have Dranger's Lash with Kepri's Horn with some strand builds, but the idea that you'll be able to at least tie up some enemies and then kill some with it, but also the combination of just Dranger's Lash with Hoarfrost and Kepri's Horn will be so much. That's what they did in the trailer, was they showed Hoarfrost, base Dranger's Lash, and Kepri's horn together. So that right there is going to be suspension, freeze, and heat all at one time. And that's going to be insanity.
The combinations that we're going to be able to do with freaking with prismatic is it's looking like it's looking like the subclass version of the craft is what it
Honestly,
kind of
yeah.
feels like.
Like, think about ambient leap with point contact, where you just like you set up your bowling pins and then you knock them down. Like,
Yeah.
that's gonna be sexy. Or I just thought of this. I totally forgot about this. Like freaking Spirit of Verity with Spirit of Scars, and you just straight up. Well, can you put 2 second columns together or no? Did they say?
So from my understanding, the first column is going to be like for the first perk, and then the
Okay,
second
so
one.
you can't mix two in the same column. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But because I think Spirit of Verity and Spirit of Scars would have been just busted, where you're able to have just constant grenade bonus and constant healing. But at base level, just Spirit of Verity and Spirit of Eternal Warrior, where you're having bonus grenade damage and bonus damage to your weapons. That will be really cool for just utility overall. I think that would be a
Right.
cool combination.
So someone just asked during the live chat about why I said the new forbearance versus the vow and if they should scrap it. No, first and
Demo.
foremost, I still have my vow forbearance because I still find it good in some situations. But the one thing that I enjoy about the new forbearance from Onslaught and from the Brave Arsenal is one demo and then pairing it with the origin trait Indomitability.
Mhm.
Long story short, people have tested it. If you can hit kill 5 ads with
That's your
that
grenade back.
forbearance, that's your grenade back.
Mhm.
That's it, 5 ads.
And imagine if you
And
throw your grenade, that reloads the forbearance. So you just have an ultimate chain right there.
so I was running around with Armentarium on Arc on Titan. I was getting my freaking arc grenade back so freaking quick. It's literally mind numbing. So, like I said, combining Spirit Armentarium and then some of these items in the first tier, Heart of Innermost Light 1. I mean, that alone just screams like that's going to be busted as what?
Mhm.
And especially running that freaking Brave Arsenal forbearance. And look, I know we were all debating about whether or not demo was going to be worth it, but when you pair it with
Certain
now that
builds.
certain builds, now the interesting thing is, and I'm wondering if anyone's ever answered this: is prismatic a light subclass? Would that count as a light
Ooh,
subclass?
that's an interesting point, because like it's generated by the travelers, but you're mixing light and dark together. So how is that going to affect indomitability though? That might be something we're tweeting Bungie. I might make this like a separate clip. I might ask Watson to, because that's something worth to ask Bungie. How is prismatic going to work with indomitability builds, especially with things
Is
you
it
can
going to be
do,
based off of if it's going to be based off the super
or the grenade?
or the actual subclass itself?
That would be real interesting. That's worth asking. We don't have to do that. But and to answer the question of should you delete your old forbearance, I say no. Mainly because of the fact that like there's still the origin trait specifically that gives you
And
extra health.
Soul Drinker is freaking busted.
You know, Soul Drinker, especially for high level content, while there are some grenade heavy builds, Soul Drinker is still going to be a really great tool for a lot of individuals, especially for like low man content or just high level content in general. Because imagine you just hit a thrall real quick with your forbearance. That's instant health. That's instant health in a pinch. It can be worth your time. And so I definitely recommend keeping your one forbearance. But if you want to have a second forbearance to try out, but also have for certain grenade builds, by all means, because A, the demo is disgusting, but B, your other crafted forbearance has enhanced perks until final shape. So like technically OG forbearance is a little bit better until we figure out, which we still have 2-3 more weeks. Bungie could tell us how the enhancement's going to work. They might do that, and I think they should, Because if we just walk into Final Shape and it's just like, hey, here's how this is gonna go, I'll be kind of annoyed. I hope they tell us how it's gonna go, because if we just walk in and have to find out some weird way, it's gonna be real weird. So hopefully they explain it. Hopefully it's a lot less confusing than OG crafting was, because OG crafting had so many different articulate things added into the equation with different currencies and different things. It was like, why did y'all delete planetary materials? Because we're at the point where it's like, we're back to square one of the problem, but there's more shit in our inventory. So thankfully, they not really dumbed down, they simplified the crafting process for the good. I still think getting rid of legendary shards is a bad thing, but a bunch of ain't gonna listen to me, but it's what it is. This is I made a video talking about this. I'm gonna take a break before we go over warlocks, but I made a video talking about this. Please go get your red borders before the final shape. Bungie has made it as of Tuesday where you are able to go into each of the seasonal activities and get one guaranteed red border per day from the seasonal vendors. You have one guaranteed focused red border from each of the vendors per day. So go to the console for Season of the Deep, go to the console what the hell for Season of Defiance, get all your red borders. And I know a lot of people were in my stream, and Cage is working on a video for tomorrow talking about it. People were asking, hey, what weapons should I focus on? All of them. I don't want to hear, oh, I only got one or two, or oh, this weapon, because unequivocally, there are some weapons, like Aramite is the only good weapon from Season of the Witch. Like, there are certain weapons like that. What weapon? Listen here, Mr. Machine Gun Man. No one likes the weird hive machine gun.
Okay, all right. So first and foremost, when it comes to Season of the Witch, yes. When you compare it against, Song of Ute, hands down. But for accessibility,
hell, I would take the fucking Nightfall Swarm over the fucking.
Right, but you're talking about accessibility for new light players and returning players.
Yeah.
Elastic Principle is not bad. It's not the best. It's not bad. And it's good in a pinch until you get something better, like Swarm or Song of Ute, which Song of Ute is essentially commemoration in arc form.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
So with that being said, Elastic Principle is a decent option. Capped Confidence is good in PvP. Yeah.
But because it's the only strand 140, but its perks are limited to Eye of the Storm, and that's it.
Once again, it's not the best, but if you're brand new, you get all the red borders, you've got some options, at least some starting points. And then Semi-Tashian, I hope I said it right. It's not bad. It's got bipod. Don't sneeze at it. Bipod's actually pretty decent. And this also gives you a strand rocket that's compatible with some of the higher damage DPS rockets.
Shit. Yeah.
But when you combine field prep with bipod, you've got
the increased ammo.
Exactly. Now you could also do impulse amplifier, which is going to give you don't have to crouch or anything. You're going to get faster reload and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So you got some options, and it's a pretty decent rocket.
But that sniper, it's ass. I don't care what anybody says.
Everything else,
ass.
like Eremite, if you don't have access to any other fusion rifle or a courtesan coordinate, it's not bad. Okay, it's a good functional one. It's got control burst that makes it hit harder.
Right.
And it's also high impact.
Right.
So there are options. It's a matter of where you are. If you're new light, get the weapons. If you're a returning player and you've got some decent rolls from previous, then pick and choose.
But at the same time, though, I think from a completionist standpoint, but also just from you never know with Bungie. That's why I made the joke in my video of hey, you don't know if distant pull the taking sniper rifle could get buffed at some point. I told everyone.
I mean, look what happened with Bequest.
Yeah.
Look what happened with Bequest. It was the longest joke until out of the blue, here comes Crota's end. We're fighting Crota. Everybody's using Lament. And somebody in their infinite wisdom said, "Oh wait, let's try bequest."
Yup.
I want to meet the person that did that and be like, "How bored were you?"
I
Like
will
seriously,
say
how bored?
though, um, the other thing about the crafted weapons and why you should get all of them, look what happened with the Dares of Eternity weapons recently, where they were
Yes.
like, hey, here's a bunch of refresh perks on them. Like they added surrounded to the swords. They made the other perks go on to these weapons. And you like it's similar to what Bungie did this season where they refreshed the Dreaming City weapons. You never know if Bungie's randomly gonna come out in the final shape or any of the episodes and be like, hey, we're gonna refresh the perk pools to your crafted weapons to keep things spicy. Like they never said that wasn't a possibility, and they've shown they can do it now. So like I
Yeah.
say, for collecting purposes, get all of the crafted weapons, and also there's one other caveat. You similar to the situation we have right now with the season of the plunder weapons. You never know when Bungie's gonna allow these weapons to be accessible again. You don't know if Excalibur is gonna have certain weapons when it rotates it as an exotic mission or etc. like Starcrossed. You don't know what weapons are going to be accessible for what activity, if at all, in the case of the season of plunder weapons. So make
Yeah.
sure that you grab that shit.
Yep. Yep. All right. So let's start digging into the warlock side. So,
Ooh.
freaking warlock, I won't lie. To see the like we said earlier, the top 6 are the same across all the freaking classes. To see warlocks have access to syntheseps, I was like, you put it in there as a meme, right? You, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. If someone can show me a warlock build running syntheseps and make it actually work, could you imagine chucking little arc or freaking void balls freaking and one-shotting champions with that shit?
So I already see a really concerning combo,
What do you got?
especially because of the wording on it. Spirit of Starfire with Spirit of Osmiomancy. Because they changed Starfire protocol to say grenades recharged from empowered weapon damage, with empowered weapon final blows granting more energy.
Okay.
So if
So
you're
that
constantly recharging your grenades, we're gonna be like that one season. I forget what season it was, where they made it so champion stuns give you grenade energy. So you're constantly just sitting there with like 7 turrets. I have a really
so
bad feeling about that.
so yeah, if you combine that with something like Bleak Watcher, oh god. That something tells me the Bungie's gonna put a limit on how many Bleak Watchers you can have out.
Also,
But
I already see Spirit of Stag and Spirit of Vesper of Radius. That's gonna be a hell of a combination where you like that, especially if Well gets nerfed. That might be the new standard. Is Warlocks putting down rifts and just having DR while also sending out shockwaves. That might just become the norm. Like if just hey, you nerfed Well, cool. We just gonna throw down rifts and just sit here with more
that
DR.
would be fucking crazy as hell.
Like that might just be the fucking,
And find
and
and find
that
a
would
way.
let them have multiple different supers. You would be able to have fucking Needle Storm. You could have Nova Bomb. You could have whatever the fuck you want. You don't have to have Well at that point. You just throw down your Rift and heal everybody, but also give them DR and give them have the Arc Shockwave for the ads around you. That's just ultimate protect right there.
Now, I am gonna look back. Hold on, let me get into my vault here for a second because
Mm-hmm.
I want to go take a look at because I okay, nope, I still have a copy of Stag sitting in my vault. Shut it. Anyways, okay, so it says right here grants 25% damage resistance to allies inside the rift you create. So that's about the same as the arc resistance fragment. So that's
Mm-hmm.
still on the lower end of damage resist for um on the lower end of like damage resist for subclasses.
Right.
Now, the question is, let me go take a peek at that. Let me Warlock. What is the damage resist for our beloved and most pain in the ass well. Well of Radiance grants. It doesn't give me the free. It's not giving me the community notes for it. God damn it.
I will say one thing that I kind of feel bad about is that they did for Spirit of the Swarm, they didn't include the part where it says your threadlings unravel targets that they damage. So it just makes it so you're destroying a tangle spawns a threadling. So like that kind of I feel like I would have taken the other part of it over the tangle spawn, because I feel like the utility of making it so your threadlings unravel targets is more of a better thing than the other thing. Like I feel like if they flipped a coin and got it wrong on that one, that's one of those ones where I feel like they might need to re-examine, because at that point it's just like, hey, my tangle made a threadling. Like it doesn't feel like that's doing a whole lot.
Right. So FYI, um, Well of Radiance grants 40% damage resist. So it would definitely be on the lower end scale comparative with that build, but still that would be holy shit.
Now, imagine Spirit of Necrotic with Spirit of Claws of Ahamkara, where you have an extra melee charge. So you're just like, especially with your solar melee, you just chuck out more spark set motherfuckers, and it's just like, hey, we have poison everywhere.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like imagine that nonsense where you just have that going. But but also like I really enjoy though that they included Mantle of Battle Harmony, similar to the thing with Eternal Warrior, where they're giving that increased weapon damage to warlocks as well. So you'll be able to combine the extra weapon damage with some kind of utility like Osmiomancy or like Stag, where you're able to have a healing ability plus weapon damage increase. So I think that's really cool from that aspect. Is that like I gotta look back. Does Hunters have something similar? Let me see here.
Okay, for a second
Oh
there,
yeah,
I
Foe
had to go.
Tracer. It'd be Foe Tracer. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like everybody got a weapon damage perk or like a weapon damage exotic attachment. I think that's cool. Whether it was
Yeah.
Eternal Warrior or Foe Tracer or Battle Harmony, everybody got a little bit of love from that aspect. So that's really cool in my opinion.
But yeah, and then they did go on to let us know that the new class items are going to be coming from a new activity that will be coming, and apparently there's going to be another permanent activity. So it's going to be very interesting what they're bringing in,
And there's one
especially.
per week that you're guaranteed. So that's really good protection, is you're guaranteed one random roll per week. And it's farmable. So like you can farm it if you want to, but you get one guaranteed.
Yeah, gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. But yeah, Prismatic is looking like some busted
Gas.
fun. But I want to answer a question that has been thrown at me quite a bit. Do I believe that Prismatic is going to be the be all, win all as far as subclasses and not have us a reason to go back to the originals? I'm going to say no.
No.
Prismatic's going to be fun. It's going to allow us to use creativity to put together some really interesting bills to have some busted fun. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the original subclasses, they're going to be stronger in their own sense.
Mm-hmm.
It basically Prismatic's the jack of all trades, master of none. The master of solar is going to be those that are in the solar subclass. Master of
Correct.
arc, void, etc. So at the end of the day, someone who is in the main subclass is probably going to be more specialized towards that flavor versus someone in Prismatic.
Not only that, but you only have so many supers that are available to you. Like I can tell you from looking at Prismatic for Titan for the Dev Insights article right now, you only get Twilight Arsenal, you only get
Yep.
Thunder Crash, you obviously only get Blade Fury and Glacial Quake because that's the only thing you got, but you only get Hammer of Soul. So right there, you lose one of your damage DPSs right there. You're losing out on Pyro Gale Solar Titan right there. that you wouldn't be able
Yep.
to have that accessibility of that damage super. And I haven't looked at the rest of the classes yet, but like there's no well, there's only Song of Flame, there's only Nova Bomb Cataclysmic, there's only Storm Trance, you don't get Chaos Reach. So and then with Hunter, you only get Storm's Edge, you don't get Gathering Storm. You only get Shadow Shot Deadfall, and you only get Golden Gun Marksman. You don't have access to Blade Barrage. So right there alone can tell you that this won't be the end all be all, but also you can only use the exotic class items on Prismatic. So there will still be a need for your regular class item. Granted, Bungie gives us too many as it is. You don't need more than one, especially with transmog being a thing. But in general, you're still going to have a need to use the rest of those classes.
Right.
Or subclasses, rather. So it will be interesting to see. I think Bungie is cooking up some gas. I'm excited to see what Bungie does with some of the other supers and abilities, because if you look at the Dev Insight article from a while back, it says on a lot of the different abilities and supers, parentheses starting. So they're leaving themselves open for changing or adding things to these kits, these prismatic kits. Now, I want to talk about something that our good old skinny man Dado said on his review of the class items. Instead of Bungie potentially adding more supers to these class items, what if we get more class items down the road with different pools?
Oh.
What if Bungie adds more to the chase, where one long lasting activity gives you one set of exotics and another activity gives you another set of exotics? Like
that is gonna be really interesting.
Granted, I don't know if they would, because that's a lot of balancing to have to jiggle. But if anything, they might just throw other class items into the same activity. But like, I'm still wary about this concept, because there's the whole reason why there isn't just every possible combination in this setup is they didn't have to balance 1,000,001 different things. So
Right.
I don't know if that would ever happen, but I can see, especially from a keep them playing longer aspect, having one activity give you one pool of exotics and another activity give you another pool of exotics. But one thing that I'm really worried about, and this is only because fashion is the end game, Bungie, let me use transmog on these freaking class items. I'm not feeling the weird flowery sparkleness.
Diaper?
Like, it just looks
It's
a little
diaper.
weird.
It's a diaper. It's what it is.
I love the rainbow theming, but it's a little, like, especially the hunter cloak, where it's all like huge, like a jellyfish. It's like, I feel like I get what you're throwing down here, but I feel like we need to have transmog be accessible for these class items. Like, I know we don't have transmog available for all, like, any other exotic like that, but I feel like we might need to make an exception, because, man, oh man. Not to throw shade at the art team, but like, if this is what we gotta wear all the time just to access Prismatic, I'm gonna be a little sad. I'm gonna keep it $150. That's my only critique, is like, please let me have a little bit of like customization with these, because that would be the goal, is because fashion is the end game. And if every hunter has to walk around with that headpiece, they're gonna be kind of side-eyeing Bungie like, man, this is BS. I can't be my full super black self, man. Like, I feel like that's the fear that they're walking into, is that they're not going to be able to be dripped out in black like they thought they could. I'm worried about that. It's gonna be like all dripped out in black, but then this giant fucking cloak, bro. And like, I don't even mind the Titan one, because the Titan one looks cool, but like, I just feel like they need to do a little bit more to this, is all I'm saying. The Warlock one looks pretty chill, but the Hunter and the Titan need a little bit of customization, in my opinion, because that's a lot.
Yeah.
But from there, let's talk about Pantheon, kids, because there seems to be a divide in the community a little bit on how to go about this. And there's already, like I already called it, there's a lot of toxicity already being thrown around that I've seen in the forums, but also in the the Bungie Discord LFG. People need to understand that, and I tried to emphasize it last week, and I'll say it again. I tried to warn y'all motherfuckers last week. I'll say it again. Sometimes some things are just not for you. What do I mean? There are some people trying to come into Pantheon as their first ever raid experience. I understand that the loot is very desirable. It's like, except for Deepstone Crypt, it's all adept loot, but that doesn't mean this is for you. You're weighing down teams. You're not following instructions. A lot of people, for some reason, are just like doing up to planets and then leaving for some reason. Granted, that's kind of where a lot of people fall apart, is because after after Golgoroth and Caretaker, you actually start having to think a little bit and not just walk through shit. But like, even Caretaker, if you don't take Caretaker seriously, he's gonna privilege check you off rip. Those freaking phalanxes will knock you the fuck out. So like, if you're not paying attention, it's gonna be a mess. But like, on top of the issue of some activities are just not for some individuals, I want to have a word with the content creators here, where it's like, hey, I appreciate that y'all are trying to help people and help them complete Pantheon, but maybe it ain't for them. Like especially if I'm somebody who's a newer player or somebody that doesn't raid a lot, and I'm being dragged by my feet like through this, like kicking and screaming because my build ain't where it's at, and they're having to compensate for me. I would feel like the weak link. I would feel like I'm not contributing, and I'm being pulled through here by my freaking toenails to get this done, and it's not a good experience. So I feel like a lot of content creators need to understand that, like, yeah, you want to boost your visibility and get your view count up, but that's not the way to go about it. Like you're legitimately devaluing the activity by just making it so you can just carry motherfuckers through it. But B, you're devaluing the content because those people aren't having to try. And it's like, granted, it's accessible to everybody by all means. Come in and try it, but don't just be like, hop in the backpack and get carried through this like it's Dora the Explorer. Like, don't do that. Like, treat it like what it's supposed to be. Pantheon is supposed to be this like challenge of the ages. It's only gonna be here till final shape. Yes,
But
that FOMO yeah. Go ahead.
even then, I'm gonna kind of question the whole challenge bit, because let's be honest. Look at the modifiers that they put in place, and they put in even, additional modifiers to help. So last week was the class modifier. You use your class
I thought that was
ability.
cool.
That was pretty neat. This week it was using your primary weapon, getting precision hits. You get shot caller, which gives you 20% damage increase. And from what we were seeing, it was anyone on the team that does it and would get it. That 20 plus the surge on top of your weapon surges, that's a crap ton of freaking damage to be able to freaking nuke out, to where it bypasses a lot of the challenge, if you will, to where it's definitely going to be interesting when we get to contest mode week, how that is really going to pan out compared to what we've experienced in the past with contest mode. Because in contest mode for day one raid, you don't have surges. You don't have freaking.
It's bare bones, get dick in your face hard. Like, you need to get ready for Pound Town. It's not going to be a fun experience. That is where you nut up. And I get where you're going at, because this is going to give a lot of people a false sense of security that, hey, I can ball out with my dick out and have fun, but it's like, are you sure about that? Like, I feel like John Cena pulling the thing down in the cricket commercial. Like, are you sure about that? Like, like, granted, I'm not trying to question anybody's skill. By all means, if you completed Pantheon, by all means, you did it. But like, straight up, like, I'll be the first to admit, cracking my whisper back out and giving Oryx the 1-2, that was a good time. But man,
Speaking of whisper, the Destiny 2 community.
Oh God.
For the love of God, if you go through the legend, if you get all 3 quests done, go craft your fucking whisper. Go craft it.
Please.
Do not show up in a raid with a half-ass freaking whisper that does not have box breathing.
I mean, hey, field prep's pretty dirty, homie. Like, field prep is more ammo in your mag.
No, so I love my boy Dan. We still got Deepstone Crypt done. Okay, this wasn't Pantheon. This was Deepstone Crypt Sherpa raid. So you kind of allow stuff like that, the bypass, right?
Mm-hmm.
We went and did the Legend Whisper. We got it done. He never went and crafted it. So he had the one from the loot box that did not have box breathing, but it had mulligan. Dude, I was like, bless your heart. You're trying.
I mean, like,
but I also know he's got
yeah.
ADHD. I also know he's got ADHD. So I was like, I can't scream at him because I'm ADHD with a touch of autism. So freaking, I forget shit all the damn time.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'll tell you what, field prep with steady rounds on that mug is a whole different experience, man.
Believe it or not, try it with accurized. I was telling somebody this the other day. Arrowhead break with the accurized rounds smooths out a lot of the recoil.
Really?
Where it's not as jarring.
Huh.
It's still a heavy sniper rifle. It's gonna bounce, but it smooths it out and it just feels a lot better. Now
I'll have to change my shit. I'm gonna put in my inventory when we go back in. Shit.
But I actually got into a freaking argument with somebody. They were like, no, you want to have mulligan. Mulligan's the only one. No. Field prep. Okay.
Field prep, homie.
Field prep has.
You know how many bullets I got in my mag, homie?
Exactly.
I didn't have to pick up a whole brick of ammo during that Pantheon I did on Wednesday. I just walked back up to Oryx and went, like, I didn't stop. Like, the damage just stayed. I think it was like, what, 28 bullets in that mug?
28 with field prep.
That's so dirty.
And that's just one part of the perk, right? The other part of the perk is that if you've got to reload, crouch.
Yep.
Crouch real quick. And by the way, when you're doing something like Oryx, do you really need to stand up?
Not really, to be honest.
Crouch. That way, if you got to reload, if you have to reload, it's just whap, 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 whap. There you go. Save yourself some seconds.
So it's just like, I think a lot, and that also goes back to what happened. I remember, like, what was it during Day 1 Ron? This goes to what we talked about previously, where a lot of people just need to sit down and understand that you may think you know so much about this game, but sometimes it takes learning something new and getting out of your comfort zone to totally alter your perspective about something. One quote that I've been sticking by that I made back when I took somebody through Mars Battleground GM for the first time is, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And if you can't do that, you're gonna have a bad time, like the snowboarder from South Park said. Like, you're gonna have a bad time if you don't learn to adapt and be down to alter things. Because you gotta have your best stats, you gotta have your best skill, you gotta have the best loadouts to get through Pantheon and to get through Day 1 raids. If you don't, you're not gonna have a fun time. Like, some of the random shit people have been taking in here. Like, I saw one video on TikTok where someone tried to do Caretaker with the Void machine gun from Lightfall, and I was like, huh? Like,
Yeah.
who hurts you? Like, it makes me wonder what people think is going on in their heads when it's like, who told you that was now? Granted, I will tell you, someone told me to use Grand Overture on Caretaker, and I saw the video of that, and I was like, oh, like that
A
caught me
lot of
off guard.
a lot of it. I look. How long ago was I telling you about that? And you're like, no, no, no.
Because I think it's
It
because I need to just sit down tonight and just get the catalyst done. I keep not getting the catalyst done. But B, especially the main fire mode of Grand Overture makes me just go, is it that good? Like, yeah, the volley's
Yeah,
cool, but like, is it that good?
and that's the big thing. That is the big thing with Grand Overture. It requires a little bit of prep in order to set up for the freaking DPS phase. But when you got the setup and you go in for that DPS phase, oh,
It's
it's gonna
dirty.
cook.
I'm about to say,
It's
yeah,
dirty.
it's dirty. So that's the specific thing with
If
that.
we get freaking Arc next week,
Oh,
yeah,
we might have to do that. But I will say, I'm gonna come for the low man community a little bit when it
oh
comes to this
Lord.
next thing. I understand that y'all want a challenge and you keep wanting Bungie to give you a challenge, but somebody just soloed round like week 1 of Pantheon. Are you okay? Do you need a snack like a granola bar or something? Like do you like the meme touch grass has become a thing, but like do you need to go out and get you a McDouble for Mickey D's and just have a nice sit by the sunset? Like something, brother. Like if like how hungry are you for a challenge that you gotta push your limit that hard? Like I just and then like I had a conversation with a very well low manner today where I was like, look, I get that y'all are hungry for a challenge, but like maybe rather than trying to trivialize what they're doing is like they're trivializing the content that like so many
I
other individuals have when it
I'm
comes to that
gonna
like stuff.
I'm
Why
gonna
aren't you advocating for Bungie to make better, more dynamic content? That's what I've been saying since Ron is that Bungie needs to up their dynamic content where everybody has a role and you can't just overly simplify the game. Why aren't you advocating for that like in the forums or online? Like and granted that's kind of what Salter Greppo is doing, is asking for dynamic play and he's getting pushback, but
yeah.
it's also like if Salt isn't the only one doing it, and there's more people advocating for dynamic play in the correct way instead of just telling Bungie, "Oh, your game's trash." Like you actually offer good
Yeah.
critique of the game. That would be a way to go about it. But when I see someone soloing stuff that I saw people struggling to get done, that makes me
So
go, "Brother, what are you doing?"
so I'm gonna say this.
Mhm.
This is a case that I feel that two things can be right at the same time.
Oh, look at you! Look at you taking quotes from other motherfuckers. Look at you.
Okay, so first and foremost, it is possible for people to struggle on content and then someone who is of higher skill be able to breeze through it. Now, at the same time, I don't believe that they are trivializing that content, because if they are of that skill and of that game knowledge to where they are able to low man it, then that is them. They are that guy.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with being that guy.
Right.
It's when people, it's when other people take that accomplishment as a way of gatekeeping or belittling
Okay,
others that can't
right.
do
Yes.
that content.
Okay, I get where you're throwing
Okay.
down.
So, case in point, like just recently, I did a Trio Man VOG, right? That was my one and only time I've ever done a trio raid of
Damn,
any sort, right? But if I was to sit there and just take that achievement and say, go look to it like someone who's never done VOG. Oh, well, if you've never done VOG, then you can't do any raid. Da, da, da. That's gatekeeping as fuck.
Mhm.
Let's be fucking honest. Or if someone's trying to learn the raid and I'm belittling them because, well, I've got a trio VOG. Da, da, da. No, I'm the asshole at
Right.
that point.
Now I want to add a caveat to that
There are some people that will sit there and take these accomplishments
and rub
and
them in
use
people's
it.
faces, tell them to get good.
Right. And throw it in people's faces when they themselves are not even in that position. Number one. Number
Mhm.
two, they then also use that person's achievement to try and slap it in Bungie's face and say, you need to fix your game. You need to make better content. No, motherfucker. Listen
That's not
here.
how that works.
That's not how that works. Number one. Number two, you go and fucking do it. You go and do it. And when you go and do it, then you've got every right underneath the sun to tell Bungie, you need to make better content.
And the thing about it was, I wasn't
Because
trying
until
to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wasn't trying to like say the low man. This isn't. I know this is what you meant, but I want to make sure I clarify for the audience. I wasn't trying to say like low manning is a bad thing by any means, because I remember watching the guy who first low manned Ron, and hearing his excitement when he finally perfected it. The way you could hear his like hands trembling on his keyboard, like that level of skill takes time, mastery, and practice to the point that it can like wreck your mental. That's why I was kind of like making the joke of like, go get yourself a McDouble and go watch the sunset kind of thing. Like that stuff pushes you to the brink. So it's like, I want to commend people who can low man, but at the same time, I want to caution them of like, hey, handle your critique correctly, and also don't push the boundaries of the game to the point that you're breaking it, like oobing and things of that nature. Because then there becomes the argument of, oh, well, if Bungie didn't fix it, why is it a problem? And that's a whole other can of worms.
Well,
Like,
I'm gonna say this: when it comes to the oobing stuff, that's usually freaking gray area stuff.
yeah,
But I think for the most part, a lot of people don't agree with some of that stuff to
like
where they
speed running
find,
is
yeah, like they find if you can do the means within the context of the game, not out of boundings, not doing excessive cheats or glitches,
mhm.
then yeah, you're doing it legit, and that's something I think even Bungie will sometimes recognize.
Right, like
Um,
the guy who did the solo Pantheon was like asking people to vote for him to be video of the week, which is dope. I want to commend him for his hard work, but it's also like, man, how much stress did you put yourself under? Like, make sure you're taking care of your
well,
mental.
well, see, that's the thing, and when it comes to some people that step up to the challenge like that, it's no more different than video games is very mental. Okay, number
Hmm.
one. Okay. But on the physicality side, it would be no more different than someone going there and freaking uh going out like pumping hard at the gym in order to prepare for a competition to win. You know?
Right,
The only difference is that one's physical and the other one's mental.
very true.
Okay. So I wouldn't say that it's putting stress on them. If they are willing to step up to the challenge, then by all means, go for it. Push yourself,
Hmm.
learn new skills, do what you have to do in order to achieve that, make that achievement. That's why if someone wants to learn how to do solos and or low man content, I now know the people who I can point them to.
Hmm.
Okay. There are quite a few videos that will show builds and what to do and how to approach fights from a solo content wise.
Right,
For low man raids, I can now point to a couple of creators and say, hey, these people know how to do low mans and can teach you how to do it.
right.
You know, different skills, but for anybody, you got to start somewhere. And that's just like within Destiny 2 as a whole. You become a new light, you step up, you start getting into more, the average content. And then after
Hmm.
that, you start entering into end game content.
Right. And one thing that was friend of the show and previous, because Brainiac said in chat, was the way I like to say is that Bungie never makes content for a specific audience. They try to diversify it enough so that anyone can complete it. The Echo Guild blind run of Last Wish was a good example of that. Which, yes, recently that was a great thing to watch that a lot of content creators commentated for. Was a bunch of people just did a blind run of Last Wish for the first time as like a
Yeah.
great big content thing. And that was so cool to watch, just like blueberries coming in and trying something brand new, and they had a great time. Now, I will say that right there Plus, I forget who did it, but there was somebody who did a video a while back called Project MMO where they went through and did like the Lightfall and Vogue for the first time. And one thing that they stressed, and one thing I will be controversial about that I've said before, is that this game is a team game.
Yeah.
And not enough people understand on a base level Destiny is meant to be a team game. And you need to be able to communicate. And I understand if you've had bad experiences. I understand if you've been through stuff. But like, it is the year of our Lord 2024. A headset off of Amazon is $10. Like, I don't know what to tell anybody at this point. Like, yes, I can say from experience, I've ran into a lot of crappy people who've called me slurs. I can say it flat out. But especially when you're in a safe space and people are like, hey, can you communicate with us? Like, unless you have a disability, I'm one that will say, I need you on comms, homie. Especially for some of these raids, like Planets for Ron or Crota or Garden. Garden is one of those raids where you need communication. Like Vow, you need to be able to communicate, and not enough people are willing to give people a chance. They fall back on their previous experiences, and it's like, I need you to be on your toes, homie. Like that's just what it is. So I will say I did play around in the new PvP maps. Bungie, you did good. You did good up until you messed up. The reason why I say that.
Oh God. I saw some of the freaking responses to this bit, and I was like, ooh.
Like this feels like the time gating thing all over again from a few weeks ago at the Brave Arsenal, where it's like, you're doing so good, you're running the race, and then you fall on your face, where it's like, what are you doing? As somebody who avidly plays PvP, who has gone flawless every week this season, and wanted to keep, well, not every week, when Iron Banner was in, it's like every week Trials was available, every week this season, for Bungie just to go, whoop, ow, on their face, was so depressing. Because for those who don't know, Bungie introduced 3 brand new PvP maps on Tuesday as a brand new map pack free for all players. And they had a specific playlist dedicated to where you only played those 3 maps over and over again in different modes. And for some reason, like on Wednesday, Bungie tweeted out, it was either Wednesday or Thursday, they tweeted out that they're not going to have Trials of Osiris this week, and that they're going to leave the rotator, like a playlist, open for those maps as a way for you to get used to those maps, because they're going to be maps for Trials. And everybody kind of just sat here like, hey, Bungie, why don't you just make the maps for Trials? And what kills me the most about it was there's been weeks where Bungie doesn't communicate with the player base and just makes multiple maps be the Trials map, especially like toward like the end of a season, or like the end of like around a holiday or something like that. They'll randomly just do it. Like there was one weekend where we had like 3 maps rotating constantly, or like for a while at the end of season, like this year it was 2 maps at the end of a season, and it was cool. But like, what was frustrating was A, they didn't tell anybody they were gonna do it. They just did it. And B, if you're used to just turning on multiple maps for Trials, why not just put all 3 of these maps in the Trials playlist and call it a day? I don't understand the problem here. Like, you had a golden opportunity to get more people playing Trials of Osiris with brand new content, and you said, "Nah, we'll wait till next week." Like what? I can't comprehend. It just doesn't make any sense.
I was completely freaking flabbergasted when I saw that, and I was like, wow, this is not going to be good.
Like, I want to give Bungie praise for their hard work. I want to like the maps were great. My favorite is the Europa one. I have been saying since Beyond Light came out that we needed a Europa map, but then Bungie's just like, nah, we'll take an L this week. We're doing so good. We'll take an L, and it's just like, you don't need an L, Bungie. Just ride the W.
So I'm gonna say this: Bungie took 3 steps forward, 1 step back. So, wait. You might have to edit this out.
Um, careful. Okay, so this goes back. So I want to read this out because this came back to what we said a while back about the mic thing. A person in the comments said, "Funny that you said that. I have cerebral palsy, which affects my speech. I have to be extremely careful with asking people if it's okay to join or rating. Text chat was a godsend for us Xbox players, so I've been used keyboard to type and I've been faster to comms than speaking example reading and vow." And yes, Code Destroyer, I want to give you a shout out here because there was somebody that I had on my clan for a long time a while back that went off and started their own clan with their partner. They were in the clan. They had a disability where they were mute. They could not speak, and we made accommodations for them. We said, "Hey, you have a disability. Cool, use text chat." And that's my one caveat when it comes to comms for rating, where I say, "Hey, if you have a disability where you are not able to communicate well and you are more comfortable using text chat, by all means. But if you have none of those type of situations wrong with you, I don't give a lot of breathing room for it. I really don't, because I am someone that believes in, especially with everything that I've been through, all the names that I've been called. I'm very much like, get on mic, homie. Like, let's get this done. I want to make sure we make accommodations in space for people who have different disabilities. But at the end of the day, if you don't suffer from one of those, let's hop on mic. Let's work as a team. I will always accept anybody of any walk of life as long as you are not toxic or like going to offend people. I always want you in my space. So that's where I'm gonna leave that one.
And so in Code, I'm gonna say I'm right there with JP on this. When it comes to people with disabilities, there are always ways that you can accommodate them as best as possible, especially with getting them into end game content such as the normal raids. Um, at the same time, they are depending upon the situation. Depending upon the situation, there is times where yes, you can do without having a mic as long as you can listen to directions. That above all else is the most important as long as you're listening. This past weekend, or sorry, this yesterday, I was with Polar Bear Dad, aka Dan from my stream, Whomping Willow, and Kai. For those that know them, we did a Deep Stone Crypt. Well, Willow and Kai are a couple together, and Kai didn't have a headset, but she could hear us over her TV. So in that case, because her partner was nearby, I was like, if you could relay any commands that I need to tell Kai on the fly, do so.
Yeah, because they can't raid all the time, but they pretty savage with them skills. Though I'm a little sad they switched over to a warlock though. But like it's cool.
Hey, they're learning. They're learning, and they actually did pretty good.
Yeah. So I very much am somebody that's very pro mic. I'm even the person that's like, hey, random squeaker kid while I'm playing Fortnite. Let's chat. Like I want to make sure everyone can communicate before. So, but back to in regards to the PvP maps, I very much want to understand Bungie's thought process of going, hey, we're doing so good. Let's take an L. Like like it just makes me so sad. Like I want to see them do well.
I think this was one of those cases of Bungie thought that it was going to be in the better interest for the community. It's kind of like that parental thing of you may not know it now, but this is going to be better for you in the long run type scenario. So we're the kids, we're unhappy that we didn't get to play with, the toy that we really like. But mom and dad are making us play with the toys that we just got.
It's just weird. Like I don't know. Like I get what you're throwing down, but I'm also just like, I don't know. But like that was just like I was like my one gripe where I was just like, man, what are you doing? So in terms of the other thing that we hinted about at the beginning of the show, Bungie tweeted out or like around I think it was Thursday that change is coming to the bounty system. And kind of sent bounty preppers like ourselves into a bit of a frenzy. Because what the Destiny 2 team Twitter account said was, in the final shape, we're introducing the Ritual Pathfinder, a new rewards path that will replace Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit bounties and their weekly vendor challenge. While the Pathfinder will replace bounties at these vendors, they will remain unchanged at other vendors. So that means you still have access to your other bounties. You just don't have access to Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard bounties. So keep rocking out. Here's my concern. What about trials and not the trials bounties? Because Iron Banner doesn't have bounties anymore. But like, what about trials bounties? How's that gonna work, Bungie? I'm a little worried about that. But also, and I'm gonna give a Sticky on TikTok a bit of a shout out. He raised up a really good point. What about and this is something that a lot of people don't think about. Those vendors, the repeatable bounties they give you bright dust. What's gonna happen to those avenues for people to have access to bright dust bounties? Is Bungie gonna create new ways for people to get free bright dust? Are we gonna keep getting this free 750 bright dust every week? Like, how's that gonna work? I'm a little confused and a little concerned. And
Yeah.
like if Gunsmith and Trials bounties stay, cool. I'm down. But like, I'm a little worried about that aspect of it, where it's like, what about the bright dust? What's going on with that? Like, it just, granted, if I was John Bungie on high, I would be the one to say, you know what? I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench in the entire bounty system. Let's just make it so you can't cheese bounties the first week of the season and get up to max power level. I'd be that guy.
I will be honest. I was almost when I started reading that first tweet, I was almost expecting that.
I'd be the one with the gauntlet on
I was
that
almost
one.
expecting, and I'm gonna be honest. And so this was something I was definitely gonna be thinking about when it comes to their decision. Right? They're moving to this new Pathfinder system, and so the old bounties are going away. If they had pushed the raid back to 10 days instead of the 3, they could have took that as the point in time to say, you know what? Starting from now, no more bounty prep.
Yeah, they really could have. They really could have.
But because the raid is only 3 days away, that would have been the biggest shot in the foot to even the freaking the major teams competing.
And the thing about it is,
people would have been grinding for power up until the time of the raid. But even then, knowing that there's a 48-hour window, they probably would have conceded, oh, we'll spend some extra time getting as much power level as possible, and then we'll jump in.
I will say, though, I think bounty prepping was the worst kept secret that ever happened to Destiny, where like up until Beyond Light, or like I think it wasn't Beyond Light, it was Witch Queen. Up until Witch Queen, the content creators really didn't talk about bounty prep publicly. Like, you would see people doing it, but you didn't like make videos explaining how they went about it that much. It was kind of one of those secrets that was in the background for a long time. And then randomly motherfuckers went, hey, let's start telling people how we bounty prep. And it became a hot button topic to start making videos and get clicks over. And granted, I think a lot of people started to do that as a way to make endgame content more accessible to players, like day one rating. But at the same time, it felt kind of weird the way they were just like, hey, here's how this has all been done the whole time. We're just gonna open the shadow box and show you the trick out of all this time. But I do think, to a certain extent, bounty prepping should be phased out to a certain extent and just make the challenge accessible across the board, to where, hey, if you're able to get to max light, it comes down to skill, not just what random mod is in the artifact. I think that's the issue at hand, is that people are betting that there's going to be like a fancy mod like in the artifact that's going to give them an advantage on the day one raid. That's why they're doing this. That's why we are doing this. It's because everyone thinks there's going to be a hot button mod, like we're going to be back in Season of the Splicer with busted ass grenade launchers or some shit, or busted linears like in Season of the Lost.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. Contest mode did not have any champion synchro descent this past time around, right?
No. There wasn't.
Okay.
No,
it wasn't until after the 48-hour contest mode that's when they start adding in the champions, in which you had the freaking you had the unstoppables in the freaking in the lanterns, you had the champs in the bridge encounter, or the bears in that encounter, and then you really didn't have any other champions throughout the rest of the thing. Now, when you go on Master, whole different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
You got freaking champions throughout, but I can see why they don't put in champions and stuff like during the contest mode, because at that point they're trying to concede that people may not have gotten their artifacts up.
Yeah.
You know?
So, but that's cool.
I just saw that.
But like I very much am of the opinion that I feel like we need to, like, because don't get me wrong, do I like when there's mods in the artifact like Breach and Clear? I think the game can be very fun, but at the same time, I worry for the future of the game when everyone just like push it to the limit like a Corbin Blue and get the artifact open immediately, because it gives credence to the argument of, people don't have any content to play once they've gotten all the shit unlocked. Like, it just, yeah. So that's why I'm talking about one thing where it's like I feel like doing that gives credence to that argument of like, Bungie, we don't have any content to do because we rush through it. It just that's the ick that I get from that.
I'm gonna say this last bit before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to bounty prep, if Bungie were to say, okay, we're going to do away with this, fuck me, my brain just freaking dropped everything that I was thinking about. I hate that shit.
It happens.
Dude, I hate that.
Maybe he'll come back to you, because we have something else to talk about. Bungie, let's have a conversation, because I'm confused. Because Bungie started doing some cool stuff the past month where they were like, hey, PS Plus people, Lightfall is free. Cool. PlayStation people get Lightfall for free for the month. Cool. That's dope. We have access to Strand if you do that, if you hadn't had Lightfall before. Then they're like, hey, Beyond Light and Shadowkeep and Witch Queen are free until Final Shape drops. Cool. People can get stasis and yada yada and do all that content and get the raids done and get the exotics and whatnot. Cool. But then they went, okay, let's just make Shadowkeep and Beyond Light free to an extent. And I'm like, wait. What do you like the meme of the dude going, what do you mean by that? Like, because so let's break it down. So Bungie has said once Final Shape drops, and the availability for everyone to have the Beyond Light campaign, the Shadowkeep campaign, and Stasis will be unlocked, where you can go to LC, get all the things for Stasis, and you have those two campaigns.
Yeah.
But you don't get the raids or the dungeons. And I'm like, what?
Essentially they're pulling the Forsaken map pack, or the Forsaken pack is what they're doing. So for those that don't understand, basically, if you want the exotics, if you want the dungeons, if you want the raid, you've got to pay for the pack. Yeah. Now for Shadowkeep pack, that's 13 exotic weapons, 3 exotic armors, Scarlet Keep, Nightfall, Pit of Heresy dungeon, and Gardens of Salvation raid. Or Beyond Light, that's going to be 12 exotic weapons, 6 exotic armor pieces, the Glassway improving Nightfalls, and the Deepstone Crypt raid. So we do not have a price point for these packs. However, Bungie took it a step further. Not in a bad way, but finally you freaking listen, Bungie. And I say that with a lot of emphasis. They're making a Legacy Collection 2024. So this will encompass every single piece of content except for Final Shape. So this one and done is going to include Lightfall, Witch Queen, Bungie 30th Anniversary, Beyond Light, Shadowkeep, and Forsaken Pack. Now, Bungie, I'm saying this very, very respectfully. That bitch better not be above $40.
You know it's gonna be like $60, if not
Bungie,
higher. I'd say 100. It's gonna be $100. I'm telling you now.
If you put that above $40, you shot yourself in the foot.
No, because think about it. Right now on Steam, to get everything in the game is about like what, like $400, but like average by like between $200 and $400. So I could see them breaking even and being like $100, like $100 for Final Shape and Annual Pass, $100 for everything else. I can see them doing it. Like I don't want them to do it, but I see them doing it.
See that? I'm sorry, that's going to shoot themselves in the freaking foot.
Also, there's one thing that we're forgetting about that we're not thinking about here. If you notice, for Witch Queen and Lightfall, there's no dungeon keys in that pack.
I'm gonna say this, and this is another one of those things. Bungie, cut the shit with the dungeon keys. Cut the shit with the dungeon keys. For real. For real. If the content is now considered old, a previous year's DLC, slap the dungeon key in the goddamn DLC for the love of God.
Well, and here's what's always been irritating to me. Similar to how Pit of Heresy ties to Shadowkeep, for Shadow Throne ties to Forsaken. If you look at each of these dungeons, regardless of what Bungie says, they have been tied to seasonal content. Like I like how they were like, oh, the dungeons are separate. The dungeons are whole different things. But Season of the Haunted came out that was themed around nightmares, themed around Callus and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And Duality was Callus themed and nightmare themed. Spire of the Watcher, like while it has Cowboys and Vex in it, it has themings of Mars, themings of all the stuff with Anna Bray and Rasputin and stuff like that. Ghost of the Deep came out during Season of the Deep, and it even has deep in the name. Like it literally, like I love how they're the same breath. They're like, oh, they're not tied together, but like if you look on YouTube, it says Season of the Deep : Ghosts of the Deep trailer, and you're like, huh? Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So
yeah,
I'm a big advocate of just like, let's get rid of especially because the Destiny combined with the like Final Shape combined with the annual pass is $99, and the only reason you could justify it being $99 is, oh, not only do you get all the dungeons and the episode passes / season passes, you get an extra cache of loot from Rahul. Like, come on, Bungie! Like, just put the keys back. Like, get rid of the keys. Put the dungeons back with the expansions, and let's call a spade a spade. Because what's gonna happen here in a minute when we get to this new year? Are you gonna have a dungeon per episode, or is it gonna be like a dungeon with episode 1 and a dungeon with episode 3? Like, what are we doing here? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm hoping that we can just errata the dungeon key concept and just call it the dungeon goes with the expansion.
And what somebody said. Okay, so first off, someone's just said, despite the price, it will make a lot easier for new players. I agree. That will make it easier for new players. However, cost is also part of that factor. And that's the one thing I've been advocating is, look, I've played a lot of MMOs. Okay. And the two MMOs that have been the most successful have abided by this one simple principle. Make it easier for people to understand what to buy in order to get in. At the same time, old stuff, equals cheap.
Mhm.
New stuff, premium.
Yep.
Okay. Bottom line. So basically, if you play like Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft, you go buy their version of the Legacy Collection. You have all the DLC. That's the campaigns, that's the stories, the raids, the dungeons, all that stuff. You have it all.
Mhm.
There's no little hidden fees or extra little bits you got to buy. That's the shit that Bungie, you got to stop with.
Now here, I have two things that I want to say before we wrap this part up. A, and someone brought it up in chat as a hot take, but I agree with them on this. Why are we still saying that Nightfalls are locked behind their respective expansions, especially for a free-to-play player, or free-to-try, as I like to say? You wouldn't be able to access GM-level content as a free-to-play player or somebody who doesn't own these expansions. Say if Proving Grounds is in the Conqueror Seal this season, or Glassway is in the Conqueror Seal that season, or Scarlet Keep is in the rotation. They can't get Conqueror, and that sucks. So it's like I'm a little worried about that aspect. Also, similar to how we got Forsaken ciphers for individuals who already owned the content, / if you bought the pack, you got Forsaken ciphers to buy some of the Forsaken exotics. Are players who already own the content going to be compensated with Shadowkeep ciphers and Beyond Light ciphers? Or how are we going about that? Like, how we doing this, Bungie? Because I would like some free shit. Like, I'm just saying. Like, I've been here for long enough. I like some old free shit.
Do you even really need ciphers at this point?
I mean, they turn into free exotics when you turn them into Rahul. So it's like, or especially if anybody who owns that content who doesn't have the stuff from the Monument of Lost Light, those people are able to go spend those ciphers on the stuff from that season.
Right. I can understand a new player or, etc. But I'm talking about you, dog. I'm like,
Hey,
dude,
free shit is free shit. I'm just saying.
You should have all the exotics by now at this point.
I do. I actually have every exotic for every class. I finally got that done, which I'm really proud of.
So I'm just sitting there like, why is this dude freaking bitching about it?
It is free shit. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm throwing out. But
no, I think Bungie could have a win on their hands with this if the price is right, and that's the bottom line. If the price is right.
So yeah. Now, Cajun, how you wanna wrap up this episode? What's your closing statement? I want to hear something juicy.
Well, first and foremost, before we talk about closing statements, we did miss one thing.
What we missed?
Kind reminder, everybody. Trevor's back on Tuesday.
I was gonna make that my closing statement. Damn it. Damn it. But like, yeah.
Oh God, I'm going to have an absolute freaking blast.
I'm sad that you had,
and I can't wait to get the new crafted Outbreak Perfected in my hands.
Rewind rounds.
I know.
Rounds. So excited.
Don't trust Danny with hammer and timing. Oh my God, Dan.
Oh man, Dan, you gave me a heart attack this week off your hammer. I swear to God. Also, for those who don't know, save your Pyro Gale hammer for DPS if you didn't know. That's a real important thing. Like your Pyro Gale hammer comes real in handy for bosses. Is all I'm saying. Friendly PSA. But
here's another friendly PSA. For Caretaker, save your DPS for the third plate.
Yes, always.
I didn't know.
Wait,
that.
no, Brainiac, no.
Brainiac.
It'll probably be Rapid Hit. Will be the first perk. Some
Brainiac, you mean to have a discussion, brother? No,
I'm sad, but it's
anyways,
cool.
But
anyways,
all right.
But what's your final statement?
Closing statement. Ladies and gents, we are 3 weeks away. 3 weeks away. The clock is ticking for our final shape.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out what you're gonna do. How you gonna approach the game. Remember, at the same time, this is the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant for enjoyment. If you're not enjoying it, don't invest in it. If you are enjoying it, come back ready for final shape, ready to freaking kick the witness's ass. Prep if you want to, don't prep if you want to. But
Yeah.
when you're playing in team content, be ready to learn, be ready to listen, be ready to get shit done. And for the veteran players out there, be considerate of your new lights.
Mm-hmm.
They may not have everything, but they can still get shit done.
Mm-hmm.
It may take 2-3 phases, but you know what? You'll still get the win. You still get the dub and a discussion.
Most def.
It's all about having fun, whether it's you or helping somebody else have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line.
Now, so I want to leave on a note similar to what Cajun was saying. If the game just ain't for you anymore, it may be time. It may be time for you to take a step back. Like Marvel's trying to release an Overwatch competitor, go play something else. Like, don't force yourself to play something just because you want to see the end of the story like Cody Rhodes. Don't do it. Do what's best for your health. Do what's best for you and take a step back. We had to say goodbye to one of our co-hosts tonight. It sucked, but he did what was best for him. And I pray that a lot more people do what's best for them as well. When it comes to your mental and your physical health, gaming is just that. It's a game. We may be here because we're passionate about it and we love talking about this, but sometimes you got to do what's best for you. So I want to emphasize, please do what's best for you, especially when it comes to the day one rate. The name of last week's episode was Know Your Limits. I want to emphasize that again. Know your limits and do what's best for you. In closing, Trevor, I'm coming for you, boy. We will see y'all next week, folks. We will be having a special guest next week as well. So we will catch y'all Starside. Peace out.
Laters.